Ladies and gentlemen, as we move into 2026, the global geopolitical chessboard is witnessing a series of rapid, high-intensity upheavals. While the international community remains stunned by the swift collapse of the Maduro regime in Venezuela under pressure from the Donald Trump administration, the spotlight has now shifted abruptly to the east. The Islamic Republic of Iran. If the campaign in South America was a thunderbolt that struck without warning, the pressing question now is what scenario Washington and its strategic ally, Israel, will deploy against Tehran. The calculated silence emanating from the Pentagon has only fueled feverish speculation regarding a coordinated military campaign quietly being prepared in the heart of the Middle East. Every sign on the ground points toward a grim endgame for the theocracy that has ruled Iran for decades. This power structure is showing deep internal fractures, appearing to lack only a decisive external catalyst to trigger a total collapse. With the repositioning of peripheral military forces, the question is no longer will there be a conflict, but rather, at what moment will the first shots be fired? The window of survival for the Tehran government is slamming shut by the hour. In the latest developments, President Donald Trump has issued a second, direct, and stern warning to the Iranian leadership. Speaking from Air Force One, the commander-in-chief affirmed that Washington is closely monitoring every move made by Tehran. He emphasized that should the regime take any aggressive action to suppress internal protest waves with force, the consequences would be immeasurable. They will be hit, and they will be hit hard, President Trump declared with unwavering resolve. Following the ripple effect of the Venezuela campaign where U.S. forces reportedly closed in on the seat of power in under 2 hours, every statement from the president now carries the weight of a combat order. This is no mere diplomatic warning. It is a signal that the American iron fist is ready to descend should Iran cross established red lines. In the digital sphere, an unprecedented deterrent move has surfaced. The official Farsi language X account of the United States government recently posted a direct video message from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Secretary Hegseth cited the case of Venezuela as a cautionary tale. We gave Maduro an opportunity, but he refused. When he chose his own path, he lost that opportunity. The deliberate use of the native Iranian language to transmit this message is a calculated move. The U.S. intends to make it clear that there is no safe harbor for regimes that defy the international order. Observers view Secretary Hegseth's message as a pointed warning to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The implication of his words, Iran had its chance, until they lost it, is not just a reminder, but a foreshadowing of their future fate. A cold and decisive message has been sent to affirm. For Washington, every regime that crushes democratic values has an expiration date, and once that time is up, the fallout will be irreversible. As the U.S. tightens the strategic noose from the outside, Israel is viewed as the spearhead aimed directly at Tehran. Following a pivotal meeting with President Trump, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu immediately transitioned from a defensive posture to a total offensive footing. Tel Aviv has issued a definitive ultimatum. Iran must completely eliminate its 400-kilogram stockpile of enriched uranium and accept absolute international oversight at all nuclear facilities. In essence, this is a demand for total nuclear disarmament. Otherwise, Israel will unilaterally launch a campaign to paralyze Iran's entire strike capability. Intelligence sources indicate this plan has been codenamed Iron Fist, a campaign with no compromises and no exit strategy for the adversary. Behind the scenes, the severity of the situation far exceeds public press releases. Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly chaired a 5-hour closed-door meeting with high-ranking generals to finalize the plan codenamed Iron Hand. The focus of the meeting was no longer on discussing the objective, as the decision to strike appears to have been pre-approved. Instead, the staff focused on the operational timeline and selecting the optimal moment for maximum impact. When a military machine shifts its focus to comparing combat schedules, it is a sign that the sword has left its scabbard. Military experts suggest that if previous strikes were mere warnings, this time it will be a direct assault on Tehran's defensive systems. Revelations from Hebrew media indicate close coordination between Washington and Tel Aviv on a dual-strike plan codenamed Decapitate and Detain, specifically targeting key figures of the regime. In the realm of strategic studies, this is a strike to neutralize the command center, causing the system to collapse from the top down. Some sources have even alluded to the image of President Maduro being captured while unprepared. implying that for the theocratic symbols of Iran, a similar scenario would crush not only the body of the regime but also the absolute symbolism of its power on a global scale. In another dimension, Prime Minister Netanyahu has launched a calculated psychological campaign. In a direct address to the Iranian people, he used words praising the talent and long history of the nation. This is a strategic move to decouple the citizenry from the ruling apparatus. Netanyahu emphasized that the current institution is the barrier preventing Iran's prosperity. This psychological strike is as sharp as a razor, designed to deepen internal rifts even as the military sword is being sharpened. Under the joint pressure of the U.S. and Israel, Iran's top leadership is reportedly in a state of severe disarray. Internal reports suggest the Supreme National Security Council of Iran was forced into emergency overnight sessions amid an atmosphere of panic. Many officials admit the government is shifting into survival mode, a state where every decision is aimed solely at delaying an immediate collapse. With an exhausted economy, a currency in freefall, and total international isolation, Tehran appears to have run out of bargaining chips. They no longer possess the tools for deterrence or the space for compromise. In the current stalemate, Tehran has lost the initiative and is being backed into a dead end. In a recent closed-door meeting with economic advisors, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian reportedly received desperate advice to seek a separation of responsibilities. Specifically, he was suggested to publicly affirm that all key strategic decisions are approved by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, while the government acts as a mere executive entity. This is an attempt to insulate the government from the rising wave of public indignation. However, a report from the Times of London has sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. Khamenei is reportedly drafting a contingency exit plan. Should signs of defection appear within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC), the supreme leader would immediately flee Iran with his family and approximately 20 close associates. The projected destination is Moscow, carrying a massive fortune of gold and nearly $100 billion previously moved abroad. This scenario is considered a mirror image of the escape strategies used by other regional leaders facing the collapse of their power. Ladies and gentlemen, if the intelligence regarding the Iranian leadership's contingency plan is accurate, it means that even the highest authority in Tehran has prepared for the worst-case scenario. While Middle East tensions reach their peak and Iran enters survival mode, a strange phenomenon has occurred in the heart of Washington, D.C. This is a sign that might concern the Tehran government more than a direct airstrike. At pizza parlors adjacent to the Pentagon, takeout orders have suddenly surged to abnormal levels. History has shown that military analysts always keep a close eye on the pizza meter around U.S. command centers. Whenever combat units receive ready orders, the entire logistics system, including overnight food services, shifts into maximum capacity. This event is occurring immediately following the end of the U.S. campaign in Venezuela, suggesting the Pentagon's war machine is restructuring and shifting its focus toward a new front. Given these developments, observers believe the next target is none other than Tehran. In the world of unconventional intelligence, the pizza meter is regarded as a critical early warning indicator. This time, the index is at code red. A Papa John's location less than 3 kilometers from the Pentagon recorded a record-breaking order increase of 1,250%. For comparison, on the day President Maduro was arrested, this index only reached 700%. On the logistics scale, the intensity of preparation for this campaign is nearly double that of the Venezuela operation. Furthermore, other pizza shops just 1 mile from the USS Military Command Center also recorded increases of over 313%. Experts suggest this cannot be a coincidence. It is a signal that combat units have been activated, the logistics system is in motion, and the countdown for a large-scale operation has likely begun. When the pizza ovens around the Pentagon burn through the night, it signifies that generals and operational staff are working tirelessly to launch a massive military machine. In the past 2 days, the U.S. military has conducted a large-scale mobilization, rapidly deploying strategic units to key positions. The movement of the wheels of war is becoming clearer than ever. Just 1 day after Maduro's arrest, the Atlantic skies witnessed unusual activity. A fleet of C-17A Globemaster III transport aircraft and KC-135 Stratotankers continuously departed U.S. bases to aggregate in the United Kingdom before heading directly to strategic bases in the Middle East. Most notably is the appearance of units from the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, the elite force that participated in the capture of Maduro, and the same unit established following the failed attempt to rescue hostages in Iran in the past. This deployment carries historical symbolism and serves as a strategically heavy counterstrike. Middle Eastern skies are currently witnessing a high density of U.S. Air Force activity. MQ-4C Triton drones are conducting strategic reconnaissance missions along the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, the world's vital energy corridors. Simultaneously, the 101st Airborne Division and the 75th Ranger Regiment units specialized in seizing airfields and establishing bridgeheads have officially moved into position. Delta Force and the U.S. Air Force's 7th Special Operations Squadron are also expected in the region in less than a week. At the same time, all 11 U.S. Navy aircraft carriers have suddenly entered radio silence, a classic sign that a real operation is about to commence. The total number of U.S. troops tightening the noose around Iran has now reached 60,000. Every strategic piece, from reconnaissance and special forces to logistics, is ready to fire. In a photograph that has stunned analysts, President Donald Trump appears with a calm smile, holding a hat signed by himself with the message, "Make Iran Great Again." To Tehran, this is nothing short of a silent declaration of war. And as if by a political curse, the fire of resistance has erupted fiercely on the streets of Iran. Anti-government protests have entered their 9th day, spreading to at least 174 cities. From Tehran to the holy cities of Qom and Mashhad, citizens have taken to the streets to face the suppression forces directly. The bloodshed has not deterred the crowds. On the contrary, it has further fueled the fury. In the heart of the capital, clashes are unfolding like a war zone. Protesters are burning barricades on major highways and organizing planned counterattacks to rescue those detained. These are no longer spontaneous protests, but signify an organized uprising with high combat spirit. The political crisis in Iran has now spiraled completely out of the government's control. In Mashhad and Isfahan, the sound of gunfire from security forces rings out continuously, yet the people remain defiant. In Elam, citizens have begun forming armed militia units to engage in direct combat. Parallel to this is a cyber war, as hacker groups paralyze various government portals and sever command networks. The distinct symbol of this revolution is the Iranian flag from the era before the Islamic Revolution, representing the movement to restore the Pahlavi dynasty and affirming the goal of toppling the theocratic regime. Even in Tehran, residents have completely blocked a road named Gorsi and renamed it Donald Trump Street to honor the support from Washington. Looking at the current map, Iran is perfectly encircled from the outside by U.S. military bases and the readiness of Israel. On the inside, the country is burning from the will of the Persian people to reclaim their national honor. The sound of gunfire in Tehran right now is the death knell for an old era of rule. Once the people no longer fear the barrel of a gun, the fate of every autocratic institution is sealed. We will continue to watch the next developments of this tempestuous transformation. Our program will pause here. Please leave your views in the comments below for further discussion.